This is what the medicine man of the soul will understand very quickly, because it's so effective that they'll touch into it. But I have a very bad news for you. The way the housewives, the farmers, the doctors, and some of the world leaders got in the kitchen and made the ganses and the nanomaterials so that they could see they can do it themselves. Now you can all do the same. Because if you're the last man standing in the space, you have no medicine man except yourself. So you have to understand what do we teach. You lose an arm in space, you see your child lose an arm or a leg in an accident in space, or part of you try to transform into fit into the area and doesn't happen. You don't wait for the evolution for 1,000,000 years. You go to your soul. You understand which part of the soul is responsible for the physical motion on that planet or your leg, and you release the energy on the request of what you need on the emotion. And the soul will do it automatically. You've done this many times. Human race has done this transformation many times, but they never realized the true master is the soul. We say you have a breast cancer, on the left side is to do with the emotion with the mother. But you have to understand that what the mother created and gave, and you became the soul of the creation between the two, has a say in the operation of your soul. So if you create balance with the soul and the position of the mother, understanding why that soul of the mother created such a condition, because the parents of the mother, which are your grandparents' soul, created that position that she had to move your soul to this position. In satisfying their position, you find out in no time you have no breast cancer. We hide this in the now technology, in the GANs and the rotating cores and the GANs and all sorts of things. But in reality, if you look, collection of the GANSes is the same as the collection of amino acids. They have a soul. This is why from the beginning I said every time you touch, you start working with the GANs material, nanomaterials, pray for your system, and you forgot. Now you understand why. It's not a pray, it's making the link. And then your emotion becomes the link in your soul. Eradication of any kind of diseases, understanding the operation of the soul takes seconds. Because in a space you don't have time for evolution. You have to create the evolution yourself. Now you understand why we changed the process of teaching. Why we announced that from autumn of this year, we start teaching motions. Because motions become the medicine men of the universe by the time we finish with them. The ones who come out, you've seen the jewels like Marco and Armand, who came out of the Keshe Foundation 2 years of teaching. Now you see a new dimension. We create the man of a space through the soul of the man, not the physicality of the man. And those who I finish with as motions will become the next generation of the leaders of the soul of the man in teaching, not leaders to control, leading to teach and to understand. The way we open the physicality of the man and we saw the nerves and the veins and everything else and the muscles, in the new teaching we open the soul of the man and show where and what fields and in what part interacts with what and what you need to do to change the physicality, change the color instantaneously. So emotions which we'll train become the true man of space. And we have already chosen the souls. Because they would not teach with the words, but they will transfer the knowledge in the knowledge of the man, in the language the man understands, through the soul of the man to his physicality. Now the point is how ready the man is to accept the new knowledge, and how man is competent to carry the knowledge, and how man understands the knowledge that he can transfer it into the next dimension of non-tangibility, but knowing his decision will affect the tangibility. If you stop that picture on the screen, it's a planet Earth, but you see dots on it. When you look into the soul of the man, you see the same dots. Each dot is responsible for one thing or another in the physicality of the man. When I open the soul of the man, and the operation of the soul of the man is no different than what we see as a rotating sphere with highlights, where the mass energy has a tangibility which is invisible to the man with the present knowledge. But I'll make it visible. You will see the same islands, and you see the same nudges and the same field of strength in the soul of the man, which in that field of strength is responsible for transmission of the information to the emotional side, which is your brain, and then to physicality. If you thought reptiles, some can change when they lose their tail and replace it in a few days or weeks, I teach you how it's done with the man in minutes, because all the energies for development of the ligament is already there. It's just putting it into shape. Just creating the right field that they gel. So from now on, we go into a true space technology development. From now on, we detach from the physicality. From now on, we work only with the fields and the operation of the fields, be it in energy, be it in matter production, be it in food, be it in anything the man desires. From now on, in the teachings, we work with the interaction of the fields, and one of the beauties of the interaction with the fields is that because is in the strength of your thoughts, through the soul, you have the capability to give it the physical manifestation. The way you can manifest your arms and legs to the shape the soul wants in the womb of the mother, now the universe becomes the womb, and the soul of the infant in this womb of the mother decides the shape and the color and the size of the man. Very interesting. We had the test done for us for those who were what I call, they did not have the understanding of what is to come. And this was a good test. We gave them freedom for months to run around, and for those who could have been the cause of the problem of the transformation, they have already cleaned up for us. So they sit in their camps. Those who understand the change will come. We take the soul from those who've done the job, because we take from their soul the weakness and we give them the strength to rise to the new understanding. The problem is we have access to everything in this universe. It is us who has to decide how and where and why we allow it, why we tolerate it, why we have this shape till we got another shape. You will understand, in the universe there is no cancer, but the cancer of the man is his own emotion in respect to his soul. Soon you will understand. And the process of the teaching from now on goes totally, as I said, you were happy, you had enough tests done with liquid plasma. And I said, we have already registered field plasma. Now we go into the field. And it needs a lot of the trust of the man in his field of thoughts to see the work of the field. The game is a universal game, not man's village game. No more donkeys. We are on the shuttles of spaceship. It's no use me putting you on a spaceship, walking on another planet with a donkey. It looks ridiculous. So I have to dress you up as a man of space, then when you walk out, they see a man of intelligence. Intelligence of the knowledge of the universe, not riding a donkey. What I'm going to do, I do not start teaching. I let you to ask the questions to enlighten you. And I only answer in respect to the soul development of the physicality or the soul development of the energy. And those who want to ask other questions, there are other teachings. That's why you have the workshops. From now on, I leave the curiosity and adding up the knowledge according to your intelligence. Because if I teach and you don't understand, it's no good. If you ask the question which you have thought and understanding, means it adds to the knowledge of you understanding more about the soul of yourself. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We've got viewer with the hand up. Oh, it's Paul from Togo. And anybody else who is a viewer that has a question, they can put their hand up. I'll promote you and you can ask your question. And anyone who's a panelist can also ask a question. It's pretty quiet out there, Mr. Keshe.
As I said before, a lot of soul searching if they can search the soul. In reality, the computers become meaningless. Huh?
Mr. Keshe, good morning. Yes. This is Monique in Oslo. I have a question which is not with the medical side, but with respect to the teaching of our presence in the universe as a human race. What is your take on the way we should handle the rogue military and industrial complex, which is creating havoc in our surrounding stars?
Only happens on this planet, and only what we see when you see a world leader and a religious leader like the Pope to talk about one government means they already know there shall be no army. A government does not have an army fighting itself. In a what I call hidden back way is the beginning of the end. I was in discussion with Caroline a few days ago, and she said, how can we change? How is going to be the change with all these killing? I said, very easy. There is a plan. Soon they will understand. The reality is that if you put the total number of the manufacturing companies which produce different kind of arms, bullets, guns, missiles, rockets, the total number will not be more than a few thousand directors who benefit heavily at the heads. Then you add the factory workers which carry out their wishes of building, manufacturing, developing the tools, the actual guns, the actual bullets. So this, if you add totally, maybe on the top side worldwide, you have now few thousand. I estimate around about 5,000 guys who literally live off arms manufacturing and are head of the arms in different shape or forms. Because you have to understand one thing, life insurance policies, life insurance companies around the world are heavily involved in arm manufacturing. They are the biggest financiers of the arm. Pension groups, pension policies, you buy from pension groups, you finance murder. Because the money you put in pension goes in different names to finance the shareholdings of the armed companies. Lockheed Martin, Boeing, different names. So you all in Western Europe who are in receives of pension, you're in arm dealing, in the back door without knowing it. There is one corporation called Co-op in Manchester, which is literally wet sweat they finance, and they're very careful about it. They are not the only ones I know. They have their hands clean on this side, as far as you can see. So now you have 4,000 or 5,000 men who are heavily involved as directors of these arm manufacturing groups. They are benefiting by it. They are the decision makers by bribery or whatever. Then the physical part, if you put, we estimate something in anything between 70 to 100 million people on this planet are in arm production, one way or another. Being the driver of the arm manufacturing, being accountant, being the actual guy who smelts the guns, materials, the guy who designs the weaponry, the guy who does chip manufacturing, everything you put together. So let's say about 100 million people are heavily involved in different ways of developing arms. Then the question comes, what are we going to do? 100 million people, in fact, few thousand people on top, with the soldiers of what they call it, the army of 100 million, are controlling 7 billion. But in fact, that's not the truth. Now that you made the arms, you have to use it. You need the armies. Now, put that tool into it. Now you have 1 million heads of armies, other generals ranking in different shape or form, and top officers in different shape or form in different nations. And then you have the soldiers and the foot soldiers run into roughly 1 billion. So in fact, 5,000 people on top are dictating how this 1 billion kill, and we call it that. The biggest problem for the governments and for the military people is, when we become one nation, what are we going to do with 1 billion people? Now we have nothing for. We can't build arms for. We can't pay these 5,000 people good money. And we have no generals and no colonels and no soldiers. One of the biggest problems for peace is the military heads and the 5,000. Nothing else. If you've been through 1980s, 1990s, what we call the opening of the East, in the transition of what we used to be called the communist into open doors, we saw it can be done. Military factories can be changed, a lot of soldiers disappeared, and armies could not be financed the way it used to be done during the communist time. But the other side of the scale was, so much military was kept on the west side, on the European side, on the American side, and other places to counteract these guys. Now that these guys were not there, there were no need for the other guys. So what we saw, the opening of the borders in the west, and gave a strength to what we call European common market. Because a lot of money which was wasted on defense, a lot of soldiers, was not needed. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers became no soldiers. Ordinary men, they're amongst us. So we can live without arms, and we can live without soldiers. And financing this 1 billion for 5,000 to have a pleasurable life is too much. So we are paying 5,000 people to control all of us through 1 billion. This is the chain of command. And the problem is, military expenditure has no lock and key. So a lot of people benefit by it. The opposition to one nation, which means no army, is not so much the population, which is 90–80% of the world population. It's the 5,000 men. And the people who benefit by it. Look at the salaries that these people earn. Runs into tens of millions. The bonuses they carry sometimes runs in tens of thousands of millions. The more equipment they encourage to sell to keep the armies going, the more money they have. But unfortunately, they don't take any of it to their grave. So how do we solve this problem? The problem is not the arm. The problem is not the soldier. The problem is the emotion of the man who wants to be head of something. So We have 2 points. We have to fight every 5,000 of them and then fight the whole 1 billion of the army, or raise the soul of the man of the 5,000 that they see shame in what they do and they are responsible for what they do. So this is the job of the Universal Council. This is where the Universal Council and the core team, SOL, comes into operation. Concentration on the list of the top people in military manufacturing and the heads of the armies. The elevation of their soul without touching a gun will bring them to find a peaceful solution, because they still want to have a life, they still want to keep their face, they still want to be part of it, is to bring the two to understand the factories they hit can be used for a peaceful application for the same thing, as it happened into the Eastern Bloc in 1980s, 90s. And for the man of military to understand they are responsible for the soldiers who now are in their command. That these soldiers will not kill, but they become the soldiers of one nation to make sure that's what they came in for. You will see not a United Nations army which is now killing in the other names and allowing the others to go and kill and say sorry, but a black, a Chinese, an American, and Iranian one nation soldier digs together, builds together, opens the schools, runs everything, and the nation greets them with love and care. This is where the change will come. This is where we'll come into not to fight, but to elevate. It's no good going, and I had enough discussion with Chinese army for past months. Their ego of being the head is so big that in comparison to the American military we have spoken to, is incomparable. They think, and we allow them. The fear they have created has brought us to submission. Now we have to play the game differently. The fear of not them having the love of mankind has put fear into them that they serve. We've seen it. Nobel Prize. The guy who brought the Nobel Prize, when he understood what people were thinking of him, the fear of leaving a bad name, he created the false Nobel Prize to cover his murders of selling arms in the name of dynamite. And the beauty of it is that the Chinese path of mentality is yin and yang, is the closest of the physicality with the soul. We can reach them much easier, because on the West, the heads of the militaries have no soul. So we took away from the Chinese communication, but we support the souls of understanding. The fear is of being dying of the lower level soul, because there is no balance in them. So we elevate their souls. There is no need to fight. The process is very simple. I just explained to you. Do you want to go and fight to create the evolution to change a leg, or you go to the soul and it does it for you? We've seen it twice. Wish of the Universal Council for peace, the same day of the council, announcement for peace between Russia and America and Syria. The wish of the Council and the Keshe Foundation for one government, one nation, one planet. Now we see it on the panels of the murdering officers of the humanity on the banner of the United Nations. So, Universal Council members, there is 20 odd of you and you're increasing to 144. This is your job. This is your responsibility. The elevation of the soul of the military, heads of military, are manufacturing organizations. Pray and give from your soul to their soul. That by elevation is very easy. When the factory doesn't make arm, there is no army to fight. And this allows us the change of the One Nation progress. It'll be interesting. Let's choose one or two heads which are the main developers of weapon technology. Look on the internet. This is the responsibility of the Universal Council and supporters of the counselors. And in your discussion, name them and elevate their soul. How the response comes is according how much crime they've done. That's when you elevate the soul, the physicality will pay. Because physicality is the balancer of the show of what has been done with the soul. No time for fighting, it's time for elevating. And I call on the members of the core council and the core team to move, to make that change and wish, and with your wish, we shall see. There is not much time, and the change will become. There's no use to discredit this and that. Let them do it for themselves. This is how it'll work. Touch the soul, and you change in physicality. If you're in a space and you come across a race that they don't speak, you don't have any physical connection with, in a physical matter state, but you're aware of their presence because you know they have a soul, would you start using a sign language or shouting, or you go to your soul to reach them that they can understand you're a man of peace? Do the same with the directors of the World Bank. All the murders are planned, financed through the World Bank, through IMF, because they have paymasters. They have people who have to show profit. This is how the work will be. Don't wait, it didn't happen. It happens because other souls in the structure have to fit into too. I put it in a very crude way in my writing a couple of years ago. I wrote to the wife of the directors of the arm manufacturers, know that the bread they eat, the education they give, comes from the blood of the mothers and the parents and the children that their husbands can't have killed, and they're responsible for it. Are they eating the blood of the people they murdered? This goes the same with the presidents and the wife of the presidents and the head of the states and head of military. This goes with all the secret services heads, that they have to do something, that they can confirm they exist, that they have something they've done, that they can have a living. This is the problem. But we don't fight. In the Keshe Foundation, in the way the foundation works, in understanding the work of the foundation, we pass the physicality. And that's why we can bring the change. We work through the influence of the soul of the man. With one wish, I can change everything, but it won't change the ethos of the man. He'll carry the same thing outside. But if you change it, if you understand how to work with it, then universe will be a peaceful place. This is how we work. This is how Keshe Foundation is a peaceful organization, because not only we speak about the peace, we know the tool of the peace. And the beauty of it is we teach everyone, because you cannot take if you are not given to take. So in giving without knowing, you increase the environmental condition. You increase the understanding of the elevation of the soul. You increase the understanding of, we pass the physicality. Do we need banks? Do we need financial organizations? Do we need to sit and watch? Or we sit and we give from our soul. Pray is the wrong word. You never pray, you give. You pray because you confirm you are subordinate. You give because you are generous. The word of the pray has been cornerstone of literally controlling the man. I give. It's the same word, but in submission or being generous to give. I give from my soul to you, the President of the United States. And I hope that your soul is ready to accept with all the crimes is done. I do with the financial organizations. When we set up the Universal Council, when we set up the core team, always explain, is your wish, is your command. Doesn't matter how they twist it, because they control the papers on the physical side. The newspapers of the soul know the truth, and they write the truth. So, is there a war outside, beyond? No, there is none, because they read your soul. They know your soul. You are naked of physicality. So, what do we need to do to stop the wars of the armies? You target the souls, and you write it, and you announce it, and you do what is become fashionable now. We do fund gathering. Now you do soul gathering, and you pray for the soul and write their names on the internet. We give to the soul of Mr. So-and-so, head of Boeing Strike Division. Let them know why you are doing it, because the guns you produce, the missiles you produce, kill so many people. We give from their soul to you. And then see the reaction. The way you go on the internet and you put your inventions, now put your wishes. Now put what you want. And let's see, because you praise them, you give to them, they cannot censor you and they cannot block you out. Insulting on the internet, they can take you out. Giving, they can't. Because they cannot go and say, take them out, just writing something about me. Yes, they're praising you. They're giving from their soul to you for you to elevate. I don't want my soul to be there to receive it. But unfortunately, because you read it, you understood it, you made the connection, you receive it. Change and take the conflict between the physicality of the man and the soul of the man than between the physicality of the man and another man. You have all the tools. You're also good at it, showing your coils, showing how you use the GANs and it's changed your pain. Now use the internet efficiently. Every single Keshe Foundation supporter in any language, any country, open a network and give to the soul of your president. But with a wish, I give my soul to you from my soul for world peace, that you become part of the structure of the peace and stop and give to the humanity. You give, you put a condition on it, and let the others add to it. This is the job of the counselors, universal counselors, and the supporting counselors. You will find out it'll work so quick. The only souls which do not need support is the core team. The 14 members of the core team, the souls, is sacrosanct. They all receive from the source. So they don't need the man. Now you have to understand the change of game. And up to now, soul was something you never could see, you never touch. But we've shown it is in the center of your physicality, in your brain, where it operates. I can target it, pinpoint it, even as I said, to show you how you can manipulate it to change the physicality. But you understand, the soul itself has a balance point. And when it receives it, it has to respond. So, what do you do? How do we create? How do we establish this line of peace? Doesn't need any bankers, because we bank in the soul bank of the man's own physicality. And that's the beauty of it.
Mr. Keshe, there was a question from Vic that was similar to what you've been speaking of. Maybe it's already been answered, but I'd like to ask it for him. He says, I have a question for Dr. Keshe. Over the last 12 months, I've learned, and others, regarding plasma creating everything on planet Earth or the universe from field plasma, becoming aged or hardened plasma, and with the mind of the universe having created the moving beings here on Earth as the moving universe, how would it be possible to travel the universe if you are not in a clear mind-spirit connection, as the plasma is very intelligent creation, and if you are out of balance, how would you control an intelligent creation? If you can't control your own plasma that is associated with the universal mind.
It's very easy. I have answered this, and maybe I open it up for you to understand in reality what I've been saying. It's in one of the books. I can't remember, I think book 1 or 2, whatever. And in many teachings I explain. This universe cannot expand if it was not allowed by the other universes and the space for it wasn't there to be expanding. It's the same with a man. You will only enter to a given dimension and the strength of the universal community according to the strength of your soul, and not beyond. And this is one of the reasons man is confined to this planet. When now that we start elevating the soul of the man to understand the work of the universal community, now you can enter, absorb the energies of that level. That according to what you understand, what the level of your soul can absorb, becomes the level of dimension of the universal community you can see. And this is what we say, the more you give, the more you receive. Now you understand what it means. It means to enter the higher level of understanding and interacting with the orders of the strength of the magnitude. As you are higher, you give to the lower. You have to elevate your own soul. And as I said in the past couple of weeks, why do you need to work physically 50 weeks to have 2 weeks of physicality rest, where you can evolve and promote your soul 50 weeks of the year and work for 2 weeks out of the pleasure of working, because you calculated for 50 weeks how to do it the perfect way. You change the environment, you want to change the education, you want to teach different way, you want to help in the healthcare, you want to produce materials. When you do it with the gift of knowledge of the soul, and it works much faster. So do we need to understand, or do we need to gather that we receive more, that we can understand better in all dimensions? If you understand this, if you comprehend how you can enter the deeper part of the universal community in the strength level understanding, then you understand there is a lot need to be done on this planet. In a way, you gather the crumbs to make the bread, and the crumbs comes, but what you give, that you collect the crumbs, that you can always make the bread. This is the biggest fear of the man, when I give what I'm going to get for it. But if you understand, when you give, the others who are giving you become recipient to it, then it will change the position. It will change a lot of things in position. It changes the condition of the man. It changes to how you allow your soul for what you give unconditionally to be used for. And the one who is in the need of will receive it. There is an old saying my grandmother used to tell me. It says, if you want to know how I live, the real life I live, come and stay with me one night, because you'll see the truth about how I sleep, my fears and my anxieties because of my own. These world leaders, these head of organizations who kill and make all the arms and plans to kill or whatever, they go to sleep at night, but their soul doesn't. And while they're asleep, the souls makes the balance books with the other souls, because they see, they design, the intention to design a better killing machine, which was done years ago, now has killed the soul of a physicality of a man in Syria or in China or whatever. Now the books are balanced. The child needs to have a leukemia. The wife has to become a whatever. The man has to feel the suffering in such a time when he will feel it. Then the man is in bed with his soul, and the souls write a very good balance books. This is what the world leaders, these people who plan these things, have never understood. Let's plan a war and kill as many because we can do. But you plan a war for your own soul with your own leftovers. And this is what they don't see. And now we show it. Now we can show it so bad. Because don't forget, when you elevate the soul of this man by giving, he's in balance now with a new level. Now doesn't match the son and the wife. Wife needs another man. Child needs another doctors and spending time with. And now he sits in the bed and says, God, what have I done? And the soul answers. You remember the gun which killed millions? Now you pay for the millions over and over. It's the man who makes the decision to elevate the soul. It's the man who makes the decision to be there. I've been tested so many times, and I can give you example by example, and you can go and check it. I could have made huge amount of money in arms from age of 20, 21, 22. I said, I don't touch something which can kill another man. It's not my job. Because I knew I am responsible for the soul of what I do. I still have the documents of it. That one day they said it's not a talk. Whatever I've done, I've kept documents over 40 years. In the position of life I've been as a nuclear physicist, as a young boy, I've been offered so much military arm deals that I could not imagine where are these arms coming from. How much arm is around to kill? Why is one of the biggest businesses on this planet? Then I start looking who makes money out of it. And then I said, and I saw, the money is not a problem. The heads of these organizations, the heads of armies, they have stashed away enough money. They have all the Rolls Royces, they have everything, they have as many virgin girls as they like every night. They bring them busloads. If I tell you the things I've seen, it came down to one thing, it's the emotion, ego. And then I know the control of the soul. So I don't need to go to physicality. I just hit through the soul to the emotion and the ego. And when the ego goes, these people become peasants. And they find every excuse to cover themselves. We see it with Saddam Hussein. We saw it with Libyan head Gaddafi. They found them in a rat hole, but why they were found in a rat hole? Because they put a lot of people as rats to kill. The point is not finding the man as a leader who did whatever he liked. The point is to understand what that leader was thinking and going through his soul in that hole. It was him and his soul, and nobody else but the rats in the hole. The rats had higher soul than him. That's why they didn't eat him. This is what you don't understand. This is what has got to be understood. If you give it up, these guys will walk into their own rat hole. And that rat hole is the consciousness between their soul and their physicality. And when they see it, they run for it. You got to realize the soul of the man on the street is in so many ways stronger, cleaner, more powerful, more dictating than the soul of the head of an organization and the world which have committed and taken other souls. So the man of the street can give to the one which is lower, and you call it the head of state. And when you give enough, he becomes equal to you, because you are cleaner, you're stronger, you have committed no murder to take another soul, and he has in thousands. When you elevate, his soul becomes like you, he walks the street like you, and there'll be nobody in the office to commit the crimes. This is what you don't understand. This is what that 6 billion of us who are the public has not understood about that 1,105,000 people who plan and carry out to be the Jews. So if you understand this, now you understand why we chose the member of the councils from the man of the street. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Keshe. This is John from Argentina. I would like to have your permission to translate all this 139th Knowledge Seekers workshop into Spanish and have your authorization to broadcast it.
There is no problem. It's already there. You have the freedom. The knowledge seekers, the more you spread the knowledge, the more peaceful planet we have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Keshe, I have a question.
Who's speaking?
This is Don Graham speaking from Thailand.
Yes, Don.
What I was wondering, we are all kind of aware that the cabals throughout the world have done everything they can to dumb down the human population, either by water, by air, by food, and so on. Is there a formulation of Ganses that we can develop to, let's say, restore our brains back to good operating conditions so that we can consume what you're trying to teach here?
I give you an advice. If you understand it as a Gans to mixture, that it helps you, try to find the Gans of your soul. Then you find the answer.
Okay, thank you.
The thing is, the man underestimates his own power of his wish and his will, because it's been taken away from us. That's how it's been controlled.
So it's a matter of willpower.
It's a matter of trust in the soul of yourself.
I see.
The thing is, part of our work as a human race over generations, millions of years, has been we came from nothing and we saw the growth and security in collaboration and in numbers. And that gave man the wrong understanding of the strength of his own soul. Now, for the first time, we allow you to see that the soul of the man has more strength than all the numbers of the souls put together, because he is part of the totality. Otherwise, he would not be there. You look at the numbers, we look at the strength of the soul. And in so many ways, that's why I said, those who find an excuse to kill, to create wars, soon will find out that at the end of receiving end of their own wars in their own souls and their own life. You got to look at a lot of things. You got to look at a lot of you got to understand a lot to be able to look at it the right way. As I always say, the path of life for me in the physical life has been, I could not understand as a young man, why am I seeing these? What is the privilege to see these? Why I'm in these positions that out of nowhere it comes to me and it's there. I never got what we call in English cocky about it. I always analyze it in a very, very direct way to understand its relationship in totality. And in all the processes of physical life, I came to one conclusion. If you are the giver through the soul, the physicality of the weaker man of the soul always gives to you what you need to do your job to elevate the other souls. As I said, I was slept in many presidential beds in my lifetime. Never asked, was given. I have more or less slept in every bed in the major cities in ex-Russia, wherever Yeltsin slept and other presidents. It was given to me as a right. I never asked for it, but the way I dealt with these people gave them the sincerity to do it, as it was valued that much. I never asked for it. It was given unconditionally. There are other people who do the same. When I went to Sierra Leone, when I went to South University, in the university there is a apartment specifically for the president. When he goes, nobody else sleeps in that room except when the president goes to open or the closure of the university to give degrees. Happens once a year. When I was in Sierra Leone, I was with the ambassador. The president said to the chancellor of the university, make sure Mehran sleeps in my bed. And we had a laugh. I went to the what they call the bodyguard room where the ambassador was. He says, do you know, Mehran, this is strange. I am his ambassador. I asked you to sleep in the bodyguard's room and you sleep in his bed. I have slept in many of these beds in my lifetime. I can give you the color of the bedroom and the shape and whatever it is, because I've been there. And it doesn't make any difference. It's the same, but as I sleep in the bed at home. I elevate the soul of the world leaders, and in turn, they give back in physicality because they know they received something, and they receive something. The important thing in the whole structure is to understand what you are there to do, not there to do what you want. Just 1 second, please. Sorry about that. I sit in front of a swimming pool, and usually when I teach or I sit here to work, a lot of bees land on the water, 4 or 5 a day. And at the moment, the world is short of bees. And I stopped the teaching to save a bee, because we need them to guarantee the survival of the man. Without them, there is no food for us to eat. It takes them 2 or 3 minutes and they fly off. It's not that you are responsible and you can watch it happen. You are responsible for what they do to elevate the man, to feed the man and the others. This is the way I lived all my life. Many times, if you've been on my private teachings, I ask you to stop for a minute. I go and save the life of a bee. Because they can't do anything. And it takes them 2 or 3 minutes, they take off. We give with our physicality, but we serve through our soul. And when you understand this, you will understand a lot. That you don't need to do much. Much is done for you. You're just there to carry it out, and you're tested if you carry it out the right way. So, can we change? Yes, now we can, because now we have the golden key. We have the secret to the operation of the physicality. And those who don't understand will peddle for a long time to discredit. But they don't understand, by us giving to their souls, they serve our purpose. They operate on our dimension without them knowing. Because we can harm a lot physically, but we cannot harm through the soul. But when you give, they can harm themselves without you doing. So it's nice to watch. Because your intention is to elevate and their intention is to abuse. So they do it to themselves. You don't need to, because when you do it, something wrong with you. Learn to work from now on through the soul of the man. And to work through the soul of the man, you need to know your soul first. Because otherwise you don't have the key. And to know your soul means to conduct the correct way. Then you have the key to the universe. What color spaceship would you like? Man has never understood the power of his soul. Because if they would have let him, it would have been a beautiful planet. Many taught, we taught, many times this has been taught, but because of the lack of communication tools that now we have on the internet, it was buried by those. Then they used it in the name of the priest and the leaders of the religions and the rest of the soul of the man. This is not the first time, but this time we have a tools that every man understands and listens. Last time there was no radio and no television. The problem is the physical interaction structure between the gaseous and the physical matter part of this planet, which causes this mayhem and cannot be sorted unless the man understands it and sorts it out himself. Because your DNA is fixed to your planet, and it's the planet which pulls you into crime. The structure of the physicality is too different. It's too high. If you put the amino acid together, and where it comes with the physicality of the matter state, which gives you the hemoglobin, which is 56, and the lowest common denominator of your amino acid is 1, it's a huge difference. We don't see this such a changes like this anywhere in the universe. Not that many regular, but never been seen with such a drastic action in the soul and the emotion of the man. The problem is not the man to say why we are here. The problem is the way this planet has been structured. It's the way this solar system releases its energy and it converts matter in this way has led to the crisis we have now. Man, the physical man, is a consequence of this evolution of release of energy in such a vast span of the energy field that has caused this problem of what they call animal behavior or killing. The killing is to absorb more packages of energy directly. So if your gap is higher, you need more packages, and you can't receive that package from the planet due to its structure, so you consume. So you consume bigger packages which can satisfy the need of this big gap. The biggest gap is not that the hydrogen is one as an energy transfer to the zinc, which is your emotion level, and around that space. The worst thing is the difference between the iodine and the hydrogen. The potential difference, by order of magnitude of the soul, is so huge that it can change that hydrogen, that it can change the amino acid, that it can change the what you call the DNA. And this process is the problem on this planet. This is our problem. So the only way we can change the man is to show the power of this, what you call the strength of the soul, that it has to give, that it can receive, that it moves the physicality out of the amino acid to a balanced condition of the fairness and absorption of the energy from the universe. That we leave, we change the absorption of the energy out of the physicality to the soul of the man. This is what in my teaching I always say. The man needs to absorb, and in a space you absorb energy through the space fields. How can you do it? You have to have a gravitational field which is heavy enough that it can take what you need, and that is provided by the soul. So your savior in a space is your soul. So you have to understand the operation of your soul, how it works, why it works, what is responsible for. and you can walk through the passage of the energy of the universe. The way you touch, you say, this is arm, this is leg, this is my heart, this is my bone, this is my femur, this is my tip-toe bone. But this time, you have to do it in understanding of the fields. And this is what I said in the teaching of yesterday to the doctors. This is what we start teaching you from now. But I always give you a relevant condition with the physicality, because the man has to have something physically to be seen.
Hello, Mr. Cash.
Yes.
It is Florin from Romania. I have a
Yes.
question and I have to teach something. I can start with a question.
Yes.
Can you explain the way how you see head pain and how it's going away with the help of the guns?
Pardon?
Can you explain how you see the head pain and
Yeah.
how it's going away with the help of the guns?
Help of the guns.
Yeah, with the fields from guns.
Yeah. You know the answer. You teach me.
Okay, but I just want okay, if we're doing like that, then I have to show something to teach something. I test this last weekend in Honnefost. We have a meeting, and I see how exactly like you teach before, how the zinc oxide, what is touched the emotional side, how can give you, and you can test in few seconds. That way I want to show you guys how it give you more power from the emotion, and how it can give you more balance with by touching the emotion, these guns. And I can if you give me accept of the camera, yeah, I can explain how everybody can test in few seconds and to see the result. I tested few.
Do you want me to show you easier way than your guns?
Yes, of course.
So you show me what you understand, and I'll try to explain to you with your work.
Okay.
You have
Okay,
to start to use your soul to get rid of the headache, not the guns. Where are you going to get the guns in deeper space?
Yeah, wait a second, because I can't open my camera. You cannot stay with your video because the host. Yeah, I need accept of this.
I don't have any ability to change that. Let me see. Let's just a minute.
Last
here.
time was the same problem, and I just leave. But now I can open it.
Okay, try it. Try it now.
Okay. I think in a few seconds, you guys will see me.
You see your software starting the UCAM 5.
Yeah, but you know the the internet is not so good. But in a few seconds, I hope so. I'll come on. Yeah.
Now it's coming in.
Okay.
How's your shoulder, by the way?
I have it the surgery, Mr. Kirsch, and everything is going very, very good. Yeah, I think in some weeks, but I want to listen to the doctor to not use the hand and to not lift anything 3 months, because they make some holes in the bones and they put the tendon back.
I have one of those. I know how it feels.
Mm-hmm. It is okay, but its reaction very strange to the emotion, you know. Just if you look into some picture and you have some emotion, then you feel different things, you know.
We have a bad internet. You're going to show us your headache.
No.
Hello?
Yeah, we're only getting occasional
I think we better stop.
video.
And we can do it as a recording, then you can download it.
Okay.
You better let him come off, because he's trying to do a lot.
Okay.
Please record it and send it to us, then we don't have interference, we can show it. Any other question?
Mr. Cash, this is Monique again, but this is question from Torbjörn. Is there any difference between the amino acid from zinc and those from copper? Thank you.
Of course. Yes, there is. Yes, there is huge difference.
Would you be able to expand on this?
Yes, because this goes back that I always say as a joke, we have in Farsi, we say, whoever has a mustache is not your uncle, just because he's got a mustache. You know, all the Iranians have a mustache, and you say, just because he's got a mustache, it's not your uncle. Just because it's amino acid, it's not all the same amino acid. To attract an amino acid of a given strength, you need to have all the combinations of the fields. Let me explain to you. Can I share the screen? This is very, yeah, okay. This is the structure. If you have a hydrogen, you have an oxygen, you have a nitrogen, and you have a carbon. At hydrogen isotope, when we talk isotope, we don't talk about number of electrons. We're talking about the strength gravitational magnetic field in plasma. If this is 1, this is 16, this is 14, this is 12. For copper, we need plus, let's say, 60 plus 16 plus 16 plus 16. This amino acid is still amino acid, but it has a field strength that that in totality, in the combination of the isotopes of the strength of the field, has, let's say, 60, 59, 60, which is copper. For the zinc, the total energy balance is 63 or 65, depends what you look at it. As I explained in other teachings, all the carbons in the atmosphere are not the same carbon. They're of the different strength. They created different way. All the oxygens in the atmosphere ring are not from the same plants, same leaf, different colors, different plants, different isotopes, different energy. So the amino acid which connects to copper has this strength. The amino acid which is with the zinc has this strength. This is the 60 and this is 63 or 65. If the carbon here or the oxygen here goes to the level which you don't even understand, we don't have it in our tables, some of the carbon goes as low as 8, 6. The oxygen goes as low as 8. That's why in that common denominator they have a connection. It's in that level which they find a connection. Not it's just because it's a carbon. The same with the nitrogen. Some of the nitrogen in energy balance goes as low as 8. That's why you find they make the basis of the amino acid. The hydrogen is the release of the balance that they can stay in the strength for this or for this. Here, for example, for copper, we need the carbon to be 8 and the rest say at 16 and 14. But for the copper, carbon stays at 12, but the oxygen goes to 8. So it is different, but even though we see it, because this part of the knowledge of the science of the plasma, especially atomic nuclear, has not been understood because we are in the infancy of the nuclear technology. There's a lot to be understood in the nuclear, or we go as we go to plasma, now we understand the nuclear interaction. And this combination attracts a field which is slightly different than this. And even the amino
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Hello.
We don't hear him yet.
Okay, I think we lost the connection there or something.
It's happening in other teachings too. So in a few minutes he will be back.
Okay.
He will be able to come back in. Just give him a few minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Say, Rick, we haven't heard anything from Jackie in a long time. Is he too busy teaching?
I'm not sure. He's probably very busy with lots of things. Yes, indeed.
It would be nice if you could give us an update on the food GANs that he's doing and how it's affecting his diet, so to speak.
Okay, I'm not sure if he's on here, but there's an open invitation for you, Jackie. Okay, we also have a question coming up from Chad. Chad Estelle asked to ask a question some time ago, and I agreed to let him, but then a few other questions got asked, so I'd like to get that in as well. I can put up the image from space that's interesting. This one, it's a NASA image taken about a week and a half ago, I believe.
Hi, Rick. Can you hear me?
Yes, hello?
I'm back. Yeah, but my internet is not so good. But yeah, we're waiting for Mr. Keshe, and after that, maybe I'll come on.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Keshe, yes. Can you hear? Are you okay there now?
No, we're just trying to find out something.
Okay.
I have a problem with my internet.
Okay.
I don't see how I can resolve it. Just 1 second, please. I cannot resolve this one. I think I have to go out and come back in. Just 1 second, let me see. Can you stop sharing with mine for a minute and I come back in?
Okay, I think I'm doing a screen share now. So you should be able to just exit and come back in.
Okay, something has gone wrong with my system.
Okay, well, usually you give others advice just to exit and go back in. Maybe you need to restart or something. believe that may be what's happening now. Okay, well, we can go back to this picture of that's on the screen here, which is something that came up in the physics news, I think it was recently. It says NASA picture, and it happens to be of southern Italy. I thought, oh, that's interesting. And it's from the International Space Station. And it also shows the Soyuz Russian spacecraft in the right-hand side as well. So we have the Russian spacecraft and the International Space Station, a picture of the southern boot of Italy, which happens to be where